Check this out. A24 sent me a dream journal. Look, it's Nicolas Cage on the pages. I think that's pretty cool. This is a dream. What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. Dream Scenario, A24 Nicolas Cage. Today, we're going to talk about this movie. Does it work? Let's do it. So a hapless family man finds his life turned upside down when millions of strangers suddenly start seeing him in their dreams. When his nighttime appearances take a nightmarish turn, Paul is forced to navigate his newfound stardom. And the film was rated R for language, violence, sexual content. It's not one for the kids, but it's not the worst R rating I've ever seen from an A24 movie. Nicolas Cage, when he's in his element, when he's working with a script that knows exactly who he is as an actor, then I believe he's a very entertaining person to watch, and I, for one, enjoyed watching him in this film. Yeah, you could say he's overacting at certain points, but he's playing a character. He's playing a normal, nerdy, geeky, weird, strange, slightly obsessive main character. Then I say that the whole time, my wife's like, that reminds me of you. What's that supposed to be? There's a scene where people are having conversation, and he keeps chipping in, and it's awkward. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like...
Oh, shit, I'm sorry.
The co-stars are good as well. You have some people popping up that you'll recognize, like a Tim Meadows, like a Dylan Baker, and, well, I don't want to spoil it's not a spoiler. It's a casting announcement. I'll still save it for you. Christopher Borgley is our director here. I'm not familiar with his work, but I was very fascinated by his direction, by this idea. He also wrote the film, and, you know, it's a film packed and chocked full of so many really good ideas on its surface. Well, it's a guy who becomes famous seemingly overnight. This all happens really quick, but he becomes famous because he's just chilling out in people's dreams. He's not there, but he's there. His image, his likeness. Did he trademark that? You'll find out. And it's funny I say something like that because you're like, Austin, you know, it's A24, it's going to get creepy, there's going to be some horror in there. And yeah, that's the truth. I believe this does a nice job of seamlessly shifting and sifting through genres, right? At one point, it's a comedy. At most points, it's a comedy, but occasionally you'll veer into horror territory. There are a couple scenes that are graphic. It's thrilling at times, and it navigates that beautifully, in my opinion. I had no issues with, you know, the choppiness that you'll normally feel in a movie like this that tries to do that. This felt good. This worked, but there's more to it than that, because it's not just this guy appearing in people's dreams. It's a guy who just wants to be seen and heard. That's not made obvious at the beginning, but as you move along, you start to realize, oh, he kind of likes this. He's very awkward and weird. And Nicolas Cage does a great job as that, but he is enjoying what is happening. But fame and fortune, well, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Which one's the right saying? Does your brain ever do that? Mine's doing it. Because this movie takes these ideas and takes it a step further. It starts to hit on the way social media can kind of elevate people's success. And even further than that, we hit on a little bit of cancel culture, because things are going swimmingly at the beginning. And I'm not going to tell you the issues that he encounters as we go, but there are some issues with the whole popping up and dream things. And some people begin to not enjoy it as much. So he goes from happy to what's going on. And this creates a lot of chaos and havoc. And, you know, just me telling you that, I believe that's a simple enough way of explaining it to avoid spoilers. But the movie does a lot more than what I said. So it's doing a lot. And I believe at times it gets lost in its own ideas. I appreciate the ideas. I like the fact that I've not seen a movie like this all year. It definitely stands out in the field of 150 plus, hopefully 200 movies that I watch in 2023. It is its own thing. So I really respect that. But do the ideas all come together by the end? I don't know if the ideas are as seamless as the genre shifting. I don't know if, you know, hitting on so many subplots, and there's a romantic element thrown in there that they really lean on at the end of the movie, and I wish they would have leaned on one of the other ideas that it explored, because I felt as if that was the least important of everything that they try to do in the movie. But by the time we get to the end, and I see why they're doing it, just to give us more of a deeper connection to his character. I understand that, and I appreciate that, because he is at times a very difficult guy to connect to. He's just a guy. He is his own thing. He's Nicolas Cage. What can I say? But he's playing, someone who is dynamic, and there's a lot to what his mindset is as we go through dream scenarios. So, again, I like the character development with his character. I do think there are some times when the movie just starts to veer in different directions. With fame comes a lot happening, with deals and some things that he's wanted to do his entire life, and now he gets the opportunity to do that, but is it the right move for him? And all of that combined with the dream stuff. And then, as we get into the third act, there's another thing introduced that is happening, and it feels like it would be realistic if this happened in real life, if a guy was actually in people's dreams, but they spend a lot of time on that. Interesting idea, but again, this movie is just trying to do a lot, and it does start to take away from that simplicity of what was working so beautifully at the beginning, and it's just Nicolas Cage popping up in people's dreams and then having the conversation of what he's doing in their dreams one-on-one, and seeing how kind of his ego inflate as that's happening at the beginning. That was, I think, the first act, kind of the first going into the second act, is the best part of this movie, because you really get to see his character come to life, and I enjoyed what they did with him, how they wrote Paul, that dynamic between he and Janet, his two daughters, Sophie and Hannah, how that's kind of affecting their lives, and, going through school, and your dad's just kind of popping up in all my friends' dreams. What's that going to do? Maybe that wasn't explored as much. I feel like, those ideas were maybe a little more important than what we got in the third act. So while I do have my issues with the way this all started to come together, being jam-packed with so many ideas, I actually had a good time with what worked really well. And that is, the fact that you can go from comedy, when I say comedy, some just dry, awkward, funny because it's awkward type of humor. So A24, you got to know what you're in for there. That worked. Paul's character in general, I loved watching him, man. It's so, it's you cringe at times. You're really cringing throughout the film, but it's really fun to watch. I love what he did with the character. This is one of his better performances I've seen in a while. And then all in all, how the world would react to something like this, and the fact that they attempted to go as deep as they did with, social media and how this spreads throughout the world and some of the backlash there. I respect that. I really respect this movie, and at the end of the day, is it worth seeing on the biggest screen possible? I don't know, but as an experience, it does work.
Correct!
So before I give you my score, what's your favorite recent Nicolas Cage performance? What's the best A24 movie of the year? Dream Scenario has more to say than anticipated, and while the message doesn't feel fully explored, there's an originality to this concept that remains intriguing throughout. Cage is thriving in his element, and the way it seamlessly shifts between genres is impressive. Those are my thoughts on Dream Scenario. I just got an email. Looks like I know what I'm seeing, the color purple, and I've watched a lot of movies recently. Wonka, Poor Things, my thoughts are coming on those movies. Thanks so much for watching. I promise to get the scorecard right this time. If you saw my Saltburn review, I apologize. That was wrong. That was my bad. I appreciate it, guys. See you soon.